The first industrial revolution was an era between the years of 1790 to 1870. It was an era full of changes and innovations. But what events led to this important event happen? Well, there were a lot of causes for the Industrial Revolution. The biggest one was the Embargo Act of 1807, that basically consisted in President Thomas Jefferson restricting the trading with all foreign countries, especially from Britain and France. Jefferson's intention was to ruin the economy of other nations. This act doesn't affect other nations' economy. In fact, the Embargo Act affected the United States government by ruining his economy and causing serious problems in the nation. On the other hand, the economy of Britain and France continued working without any problem.
Was overcrowding cities, health problems, and cities being extremely dirty and dangerous at the same time.
The main events that were in the Industrial Revolution were these ones. On 1712, the steam engine was invented by Thomas Newcomen. This was not very useful yet, but the idea of using steam to make machines move would be important in the Industrial Revolution. Then, 1764, and the spinning jenny was invented by James Hargreaves. This machine, what it does is it makes easier and faster the making of clothes. Continuing on 1769, James Watt improved the steam machine with this engine, was more powerful, and made the start of the first trains, steamboats, and factories. Now, on 1844, Samuel Morse invented the telegraph, which allowed messages to be sent quicker than cards. On 1846, Elias Howe created the sewers. This made people do their own clothes and not paying someone to make that for them. Then, he also invented on 1853 a safety brake of the elevator. Now, on 1855, Henry Bessemer created a process that changed steel and making iron. This was vital for the growth of cities. On March 1879, Alexander Graham Bell patented the telephone. He definitely was not the inventor, but he was the first that patented it. So, he could explain people how the world changed because of the communication they would have. Finally, on May 1883, the Brooklyn Bridge was finally opened, and at the time, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world.
Regularly, families would all work together as a unit of production. This was no longer a thing. Powerful factory owners earned a lot of money, but sadly, the women and children who would brutally work for hours without stop would earn less and less money every time. This decreased the family economy and changed the way society saw classes. As child labor became more common, the health state of these children was undergoing horrible negative effects. Many children died, but the overall population kept growing. In fact, it doubled in England and Wales in a 50-year period. All of this caused what once was an original work ethic to become socially distorted. The wages of factory workers drastically decreased as time passed by. Many historians actually believed that children, women, and few men were experiencing immiseration. Immiseration is the state of being mistreated poorly and being reduced of your work chances. This means that people who were once craftsmen, field laborers, artisans, and more were being stripped of their jobs to work as factory workers in horrible conditions with very low wages. The economy basically got destroyed for many families and men who were owners of factories that became extremely rich and powerful. Political aspects also changed for England at the time. A philosopher named Thomas Malthus wrote a book called The Principles of Population, and it talked about the population and how eventually England would not have enough food to feed their people. Although this never happened, his work influenced powerful politicians at that time to pass laws. One of the laws was about putting a limit to the number of children lower-class families could have. In 1832, British Parliament passed the Reform Bill of 1832, which changed the way factory labor would work and how ownership of factories worked. 1 year later, the Factory Act of 1833 was proposed by Lord Ashley. It set standards for employment of children in factories, and Parliament decided to pass it. These were some of the political effects that the Industrial Revolution had on the British Empire.
Increased a lot. Even though it still has a lot to improve, it has progressed a lot thanks to that. Politics slightly changed thanks to the Industrial Revolution, because nowadays they tend to protect a lot the labor rights, and a lot of other human rights like liberty. In conclusion, the Industrial Revolution helped us a lot to get to where we are now, but in the process, it made a lot of problems that we now have to face and solve.